It is Thursday, February 23rd, 2023. This is another edition of Baseball Today. That is my man, Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose, producer Rob, along for a rare journey, and for that we are greatly appreciative. This is our final show of the season without baseball. It starts this weekend full bore in Florida and Arizona. Are you as pumped as I am?
I'm very excited. Okay. I always love spring training videos. Everyone's so happy and optimistic. We've been getting the live at bat videos. I think we're going to talk about one in particular in Phillies camp. But everyone's using the pitch clock. The hitters are getting used to it. The pitchers are getting used to it. And finally, we're going to get to see it in some games. So yes, see Rosie, I'm very excited.
Well, let's get this thing started with a guy who won't be throwing live BP anytime soon, and that is Lance McCullers. In fact, he said, I'm not going to be ready for opening day. Suffered a muscle strain in his pitching arm. The good news is an MRI came back clean. There is no structural damage. But after losing Cy Young Award winner Justin Verlander in the offseason and now this, how concerned should the champs be with an improved AL West and their stranglehold on that division?
I mean, I don't think they should be too concerned because as good as their pitching staff is, and we talk about their rotational depth and the talent they have in there all the time, like that's just one aspect of this team. They can play defense. They surely can hit. Their bullpen is excellent. So like they have all the pieces. Now, even without Lance McCullers Jr., which he will be there this year, JV is not going to be there, obviously. We got Hunter Brown coming up. He's one of the more polished prospects, pitching prospects in the game. So as much as you want to have five deep with Hunter waiting in the wings to take over one of those spots or kind of supplement, now you just have him. I think you're going to be just fine. So like I said, this team is not just reliant on one aspect of the game. They're excellent in pretty much all aspects of the game. So I understand the Mariners are coming. I understand the Angels are improved. I understand the Rangers have done a lot of stuff lately, but this is still the Astros division.
I would agree that it's the Astros division, but man, their margin of error has slidden a ton, right? Here's the deal. If one other guy comes up with something, who's next in line? Is it Forrest Whitley? Like we've been waiting for him for years. What was he, a 2016 first round pick, and he still hasn't made his debut in the show? He's had injuries. He had that suspension he had to deal with, but I mean, according to everything I've been reading, says that he would get a shot. They've got some other guys that can help them out for spot starts here and there. But if there's any length that, because you can't plan going through a whole year with just five starters or heck, even six. Most good teams are going to dip into that reservoir at some point. And I look at Seattle, the strength of their team is that starting rotation. Texas has obviously improved in leaps and bounds. And people could say, well, I need to see Jacob deGrom throw more than 17 starts. And I'm with you. If he does, it's going to be interesting. And we do think that the Angels are going to be better. So I'm not going to say the Astros have their work cut out for them, but at least I'm interested this year in that division.
I mean, I'm interested, but those teams you mentioned, they don't have seven starters deep either. Like, that just doesn't happen. Like, the Astros had that, and that was a rarity. So, like, yeah, Lance McCullers came up a little bit lame. He's not going to be ready for opening day, but that has not changed my outlook on the AL West whatsoever. I think it's the Astros and then the Mariners and then the rest of the division. So I'm not buying it that they're like losing grip on this division at all. In fact, I think they're tightening it over the last few years. I mean, that thing is theirs until the Mariners prove it's not, right?
Well, I suppose part of me is that I'm wishing for it. Not that I have any ill will toward the Astros or anything. I want to see good competition. I'd love to see it go down to a final week. And a couple of years ago, the Astros, it did take them a little bit longer than normal for them to kind of wrap things up. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right. You mentioned this at the top of the show. One interesting live BP at bat. Kyle Schwarber going against Phillies teenage sensation Andrew Painter. I believe Painter got him earlier on a strikeout. And then later on, Schwarber hit one more than a country mile. He almost hit it onto a highway in Clearwater. You could almost see Painter with the huge smirk on his face. Before I ask the question, like, this kid has a legitimate shot at filling out the back end of their rotation. This is good for him, right?
I think so. Look, he hung that thing, dude. Like, he's got to understand, you hang that thing in the show, that's where it's going to go, especially in that dang division. So, yeah, I mean, this is good. This is just friendly banter. You see Schwarber kind of riding the horse at the end there. That's all in good fun right there.
That's good. I love it. And by the way, Schwarber came out and he could not have enough glowing remarks about this kid. He said, I can't believe he's a teenager. Well,
that's what you do after you take someone deep. Yeah.
So which youngster are you most looking forward to getting a full-ish season with the big club? That means they don't necessarily have to break camp with them, but we'll see them for at least 4 months, let's say.
Well, this is kind of, I think a lot of people are looking forward to seeing this guy full season. I'm going with Corbin Carroll of the Diamondbacks because I've been poking around to my friends around the teams. I always ask at this point in the season during spring training, like, tell me someone I need to know about. We know about Corbin Carroll. I think he's the consensus top prospect in the game, even though he's been in the big leagues already. I asked Evan Longoria. I straight up said, "Is Corbin Carroll a guy? That's my litmus test. Are you a guy? Are you a guy?" He said, yes. Freakish pop and fastest guy in the game. And we started talking a little bit more about him. But Evan Longoria does not give out those compliments unless he means it. That's the kind of guy he is. So I'm very excited to see him. We've seen the speed. I want to see some of this pop. Like, is this guy like a easy 2020 guy? Is he going to push 30-30? Who knows? But I want to see him through a full season. I think it's going to be – I'm getting excited, Chris. You're getting excited for this AL West. Great. I'm getting excited for some of these NL West teams at the bottom. The Diamondbacks, are they resurfacing? They got a lot of prospects coming up this year. Go Snakes.
Okay, well, don't put words in my mouth. I didn't say I was super excited. I said I want to be excited. Okay. There's a difference about them. And, yes, the Diamondbacks have a lot of guys on that top 100 list. And a bunch of them that we're going to end up seeing this year. So even though the Diamondbacks fans know that they probably aren't competing with the Dodgers, the Padres, and we'll see what the Giants turn into this year, they've got to feel like they're in the right direction, at least. They got a good manager there in Torey Lovullo. So, I would agree with that. I think that's a great look. Here's the reason I'm wearing the Baltimore Orioles cap. Grayson Rodriguez is a name that we've heard about. We thought maybe last year we were going to have a shot at seeing him later in the season, but he ended up coming up with a lat injury, made less than 20 starts, so that delayed him bursting on the scene until this year. I got to tell you, if he doesn't break camp with this team, I don't know exactly what they're doing, because I was yelling at the Orioles in the offseason. I was like, build on the momentum that we saw in 2022. Go get Carlos Rodon. Go get somebody that can be more than an innings eater. Like, we liked Kyle Gibson a lot. The trade for Cole Irvin might work out for him okay, but go get a stud. Like, you've got all these young guys that have done some nice things in the lineup, and the bullpen seemingly came together. And heck, even the rotation, which was made up of a bunch of no names going into last year, did enough to keep them interesting for 5.5 months. They didn't. And I think this guy is the biggest reason why, because they keep saying, we've got a dude that we're not going to have to pay $180 million to. Here he is. And he looks like a stud. He looks every bit of studliness. So I want to see if it's right.
I like that. Around the league, we're seeing some of these teams who kind of have been at the bottom of the barrel start to, rise a little bit. Now, we know the Orioles did what they did last year, and we're looking forward to them, like you said, continue into this year. But it's kind of like spread throughout the league. It's going to be – there's a lot of young guys coming up that I think we really need to pay attention to this year, and he's obviously one of them.
Yeah. Here's the caveat. Like a lot of young pitchers, he hasn't thrown a ton of innings, right? Mm-hmm. The most he's thrown in a year is 103. So if he does start the year with the team, we're going to be on an innings limit. We want to make sure that we don't, we're going to wrap him in bubble wrap. Like, I don't quite understand that. And I'm going to have a discussion one day, maybe on the Rose rotation with a talent developer or something like that. Why, when this guy's not 5'11", 180 pounds, he's a big strapping dude. Why can't we just let him go?
Yeah, I don't think there's really any science behind that either, like the innings limit and the pitch count. I mean, nothing that I've seen. I understand that you want to make sure these guys are getting the proper rest. But you're right, C. Rosie. I mean, eventually you got to build the guy up. Everyone wants guys that can throw 180 to 200 innings. Like, eventually you have to do it. Now, I'd assume that they already have a number in their mind, whether it's 130 innings this year, whether it's 150 innings this year. They have something in their mind, and they want to get to that. The problem with that is, because think about this. Say the Orioles shock the world again. Because, I mean, look, we think they're going to be close. But let's say they're in contention for the wild card at the end.
Mm-hmm.
In September, here he is, and he's balling out. And all of a sudden, he's at 125 innings, and you got a whole month left to go. What are you going to do? What are you going to tell that kid who's proved himself in the big leagues, who's like, I feel fucking great? You're going to say, no, just sit down. Because what? I'm not old enough? Fuck that. I'm a professional. Put me on the hill, dude.
Hey, don't you remember this is what happened with Strasburg? And
Yes.
Scott Boras was right in the middle of it because he was like, well, we have a plan. Like how, not only what it means for the kid, because I felt terribly for Strasburg at the time, but what are you telling the rest of the clubhouse? Like there are grown-ass men who might not ever get a shot at making the playoffs, making a World Series run, and they're sitting here, well, because you're protecting some kid's future. I've been busting my balls all year. Like, you're right about that. And it's not fair. And I don't know what the science is, so perhaps we are speaking a little bit out of turn here. But
I haven't heard anything.
These kids are better conditioned. They're nutrition-filled. They're working on their arms more than they ever have before. We've made it this far in the game, played it 130 years. Somehow we've done. I don't know.
Well, you know, I think a lot of it is we are working harder as a group of pitchers here now to increase velocity, and it's not a natural arm motion. So like there is more stress on these arms than ever before. But I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I hope it doesn't come down to that.
Today's episode of Baseball Today is sponsored by our friends over at SeatGeek. If you don't know what it is a ticketing app that you download right on your good old phone, and it makes buying tickets super, super simple. I have used it several times, even in the last year. And with over 28 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app out there. So you want to go get your favorite baseball team, you want to get tickets. Remember, this year, it's a brand new schedule. So you're going to be seeing players come to your ballpark that maybe have never been out at your favorite ballpark. So go get your baseball tickets today. You can go get them for the NBA, regular season, playoffs, NHL, concerts, festivals, whatever. There's more than 70,000 events every single day available on SeatGeek. Here's what I love about it. They want to help you, okay? They want to help you get the best seat possible. So look for the green dot on the app. Green is good. Red is bad. Repeat with me together. Green good
is good. Red
bad. Okay? Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Plouffe. I appreciate it, even though you're a little bit behind the time. And every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee. SeatGeek is the only site that lets you return your tickets ahead of the event with swaps. So we've got a great hookup for you because we want to save money. You're going to use the code word today for $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. That is $20 off your first purchase. The promo code is today. Click the link in the description to download the app today. Who knows? Maybe Plouffe and I will see you at a game in the near future. We continue on with Mark Topkin, a fine writer, covers the Rays there for the Tampa Bay Times. He did a column on the Rays rotation. Those guys down there, they feel like they've got one of the best ones in baseball. Where do the Rays starters rank going into the season?
Now, this is fun because as you were frolicking on those nude beaches of St. Lucia and Jerry Blevins was here, we talked about this, see, Rose. We talked about the Rays rotation and how for once, you know, it seems like it's been quite a while for them. They have like a legitimate, like real 5-man rotation with guys that can kind of eat up some innings, go deeper into ball games. It's not necessarily going to be like 4 or 5 innings and get out. So we're talking about that. I think Jerry and I both had the Rays top 5 in baseball. I don't think there's really any question of that. So, you know, where do you rank them? I'm not sure. I think I'll give them probably like 3 or 4. I'd rank the Astros still above this group. And in fact, when we taped this, it was before the Lance McCullers injury. I had the Astros as my best rotation in baseball. I think Jerry went with the Mets. And those are 2 great options there. I think the Yankees have to be mentioned in there, even with Montas going down, because they have some absolute studs there, especially with Rodon in the mix now. So to answer your question, they're top 5. I'll put them at 4, but with the potential to go even higher. I think if Glasnow comes back and looks great and he can throw close to that, like I don't think he's really done like 150 innings yet, but if he can like get somewhere
No.
close to that, I think we're looking at a top 3 rotation in baseball.
So, yeah, it's interesting. You look at them, and talent-wise, I think you could say that they're 1 or 2, to be honest with you. The thing is that the question marks around them are, can Glasnow give them 175 innings? Can McClanahan avoid he had a little bit of a stumble in the second half. He had a little bit of a health issue. Is Springs the real deal? Like we've seen him do it, but because they haven't done it for years, like guys in the Mets rotation or guys in the Yankees rotation or even the Astros rotation, I'm hesitant to put them any higher than 4 because those are the 3 I would put ahead of them. I think I'd put the Yankees at 1. I think the way that Rodon has pitched the last 2 years, his addition, and I think Sevy's going to be phenomenal too. And then Nestor and whomever you put at 5, you put at 5. At this point, I don't really even care. But I think the Rays could potentially move up. I do think that they're perhaps the most talented one. I will say this. They're the best one that money can buy because you've got Glasnow, Eflin, and Springs. They're combined to make less than $20 million. The other 2 guys are pre-arb. Pre-arb. So that entire starting 5 is going to make less than Garrett Cole, Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander, Carlos Rodon probably this year. Like all of those guys in big-time rotations, the entire rotation will make less than them.
It's an interesting stat. I'm not going to applaud the Rays for having a cheap rotation that's good. I'm not going to do that. Okay. But I liked it, what they have. I like that they decided that we can't just do this 5 and dive thing. We need something more than that. Whether that was by design or like shit, Springs comes over and we found the gem. Rasmussen comes over, we found the gem. Like, I think it's more of that. I don't think this was like, hey, dude, we need to really get into a traditional rotation. The Rays don't think that way, but they have one now. And I'm with you, Matt. Top 5 in baseball, where you slot them, I think it's up in the air. If Hunter Brown we'll go back to the Astros, who's my team right now. If Hunter Brown comes up and pitches like he did in September, that's the best rotation in baseball. I don't think it's even close.
Not even close.
It's so deep. It's so deep.
It is deep. But nobody's going, hey, I've got to have Garcia and Urquidy. They almost feel like they're extra pieces. That's
the thing. I think you put them on different teams, you would talk differently about these guys.
Probably. Okay, that's fair. MLB Network continued its top 100 countdown last night by revealing players 20 through 11. I'll just real quickly read the names, starting at 20 and going all the way down to 11. Austin Riley, Devers, Vlad, Bryce Harper was 17, J-Rod 16, then Scherzer and Verlander and Sandy all back-to-back-to-back, 15 through 13. Juan Soto was 12 and Trey Turner 11. Which one of those guys has the best shot at winning a major award this season?
Well, they all do. I mean, that's a hell of a line of players right there. I was tempted to go with like Harper or Trey Turner because I think that Philly's offense has a real chance to be like elite. Then that, you get those counting numbers because of that. But I'm going to go Julio Rodriguez. He played in 132 games last year, 28 homers, 25 stolen bases. I think he gets to 30-30 this year. Shit, he might even push 40-40. I think he has a good chance to be up there in the MVP discussion. I mean, he was MVP 7 last year. He won the Rookie of the Year. Give this guy a full run at it. Give him 600 plate appearances or more. And I think we're going to see some numbers and I think we're going to see like these stretches from Julio this year that are just like incredible, that we sit back and say, this is truly one of the better players in all of baseball. And I think we're going to get a couple different types of those or couple different times throughout the season. So when we look back at the end of this year, I think his stats are going to overwhelm us and he'll be in that like MVP discussion.
So I let you have J-Rod on that one. I go, who's Plouffe going to take? And that's fine. First of all, we do have 3 Cy Young Award winners in this list of 20 through 11 in Sandy, JV, and Max, and you have 2 MVPs in Verlander and Harper. It's already an amazing group here. But when I look at being an award winner, particularly an MVP, not so much a Cy Young, but I would say an MVP, I think you have to do something. There's a little bit of LeBron syndrome when a guy wins an MVP, you have to make a monumental leap from where you were to what you are. And your team has to do really well, in my opinion, for the most part in baseball. It's not always, Mike Trout got it a few years when the Angels sucked. So that I understand. I think that Rafael Devers could have a shot at this. I really do. Now, last year, he missed 20 games. He was befuddled by some injuries there in the month of August where he had barely a 500 OPS. So he had 1 month that was dog shit, and his numbers were still really good. He still hit almost 30 bombs, I believe a high 800 OPS. But this is a guy that if he's right, if he's physically okay, and he's going to get a few days off at third base, they can put Justin Turner over there. And if he could play 155 games, in my opinion, there's a little more depth to this lineup this year. And here's the extra caveat. The Red Sox have got to be in wild card contention. They can't win 78 games. That's not going to work here. There's going to be too many good players. But if they get to 87, 88 wins, I know it's a big leap. And Rafael Devers is the guy that's pulling the train, not just riding on it, but pulling it, then he could have a real shot.
I don't mind it. Like I said, any one of these guys can just go off and win an MVP or a Cy Young. Some of them already have. Devers seems to me like, look, you get that money, like it's either going to go one or two ways. It's going to motivate you to bring that team to the promised land, or you get a little complacent. I hope it's not that way. I don't think it'll be that way because typically you really try to do your due diligence on who you give those massive deals to. But with that comfortability, maybe he just goes off and finds that extra gear this year. So I like it, C. Rosie.
Yeah, I think that's a little unfair in the sense of like you haven't heard that at all about Devers.
No, I haven't. I'm just saying, but you give a guy that type of money and that type of security, it changes things because again, this is not Devers specifically. I'm just saying in general, you get a guy and you're working towards a payday. You're working towards a World Series and all those things, but you're working towards a payday. Like, you got to go. And now he's like, he doesn't have to do anything for the rest of his career and he gets that money. It takes a little bit of a chip off of your shoulder. It does, man. For some guys use it as extra motivation. Hey, I want to be that guy in this city for this team for the foreseeable future. And it gets him on an extra gear. So like it could go one of two ways. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying anything specific to.
John Boy gave you all that dough. You still work your ass off. You're not complacent,
Chris. I'm different.
You built different. Yeah.
Devers, look. Well, I think Devers is going to hit that next gear, bro. Don't put words in my mouth.
Okay.
Jeez.
All right. Last thing. And what a great story this is. Kid making his Mississippi State debut. Jurangelo Senja. Not your average freshman. 5'11", 170. Throws over 92 from both sides. Right-handed, left-handed. I think he hit 96 or 97 on one side and like 92 on the other. 4 shutout innings in his college debut. 1 hit allowed, 7 Ks. Does he have a chance to be the most interesting pitcher in baseball? And I'm talking about college and the big leagues.
I do want to correct you real quick. I don't think that was his debut. I think he got into a game before that. This is a very prominent show. Yeah. So
yes,
doesn't really matter. I think I'm interested in this. Okay, it's a little strange for me to kind of like wrap my head around it. But definitely like it's so impressive that I think that's what's got me here. It's like, have you ever tried to throw with the opposite hand? I mean, you look like an absolute fool.
Well, I throw the ball so poorly that some people think that I'm left-handed.
Yeah, no, okay. Maybe you should try. You'll be like the rookie all over again. We'll get you in the big leagues. Maybe you were left-handed this whole time, Chris. I can't really wrap my head around this because like if I try to throw the ball lefty, I'll just look absolutely ridiculous. My question is he going to just do lefty, lefty, righty, righty, or is there like some analytics involved? And say a guy has reverse splits and like, hey, you know what? You're a righty, but I'm going to go lefty to you because you don't hit this pitch particularly well. Like there's a lot of ways you can match up. And then like how sore does this guy get? Because when I throw like my right hip and my butt, You can't even sit.
You're an old man.
Hamstone both are. I mean, dude, it's very,
Hey.
yes. To answer your question, I think he does have the case to be the most interesting pitcher in baseball right now, because the more and more I think about this dude, it's so impressive. It's so freaking impressive. I know we have 1 second. I'll let you get your point across. Joe Varvra, who was a longtime coach with the Twins. He's with the Tigers. Terran Varvra is his son. How about that? The Baltimore Orioles. He's wearing his hat right now. He was ambidextrous, and he threw BP from both sides. In my first year in pro ball, he challenged everyone to learn how to do that. He said, it's good for your recovery. You want to work your other side of your body just as much as the other side. So a bunch of guys tried to do it. And then you gave up like 2 days later because you're like, this is silly, dude. I'm wasting my time. Like, I'm in pro ball. What am I doing right now? But seeing this guy do that with that type of velocity and the ability to throw all those different pitches, it's very, very impressive.
There's only a couple of guys I can remember doing it at the major league level. It was either, forget if it was Gene Harris or Greg Harris. I think it was Greg who did that. And then Pat Venditti. Neither of them could match this kid's velocity.
No, yeah.
I love his glove. His glove is insane. You're taking all the fun out of it for me for talking about reverse splits. I just want to see the kid throw. So wherever he is, I am going to find him. Other than Shohei throwing and a couple other guys, he's going to be right up there with those. For me, he's going to be appointment viewing. So if I can find him on a streaming service, or if he's playing on ESPN, the Ocho, or whatever it is, I will find this kid and watch him do his thing. I think it's freaking awesome. Brady did ask an interesting question. He goes, Dad, could he pitch both ends of a doubleheader? Could he go righty first game and lefty the next? I was like,
maybe.
Come on, dude.
I don't know. How does that work with your body? I have no idea. How about this? You know who's gonna draft this guy, right? One team that you think would draft this guy.
The Rays?
Yes, the Rays, dude. You know what they're thinking? One pitcher that's actually 2 pitchers. We only have to pay him the league minimum, and then we could. Oh man, they're spinning over there right now.
All right, the world continues. You guys had a nice WBC preview on Talking Baseball yesterday. Quick reminder that I have Team USA manager Mark DeRosa. Please go listen to that for Rose Rotation, not just because I'm begging for you to listen to it. I appreciate it. He's great on so many levels. And then you got the TPPs continuing. I'm starting to catch up on those. I got through the A's, the Reds, the Pirates, the Royals. I'm probably going to do the Nationals next. So those are great little chewable sizes for, just to get you ready for the 2023 season. I am recording an interview with Joe Kelly today, noted author Joe Kelly. No joke. He has a book out, and it is very good. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't put it down. It was very good. And next week, we will be recording an interview with Trey Turner. So a lot going on with the Rose Rotation. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff coming up.
Dude.
Yep. Can't wait. Yeah.
Sometimes I ask you this, but just tell him for me that he's my favorite player in baseball.
Oh,
he could do that. I just want to relay that message. Before he was with the Phillies and all this stuff, even when he was with the Nationals, he's my favorite player to watch.
Awesome. We will see you next Tuesday. I think we're going to early it up. Just check out our social media channels. I think we're going to go at 10 o'clock Eastern that day. Travel day for me. But that'll do it for now. For Trevor Plouffe and our one-of-a-kind producer, Robbie Scirocco, I am Chris Rose. We'll see you next time here on Baseball Today.